All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, obviously you can see I'm back on the cruise again. And I guess it's like not to over celebrate, but it's like I made it. It's like I made it. And it's interesting because I mean, it's good that I had experience with getting on a cruise as being a TI before, from last year. So now it's like I came on this cruise with certain expectations, certain movements, certain interactions. I already came on here expecting certain things. And you know what? It kind of played out almost exactly the same like last year. Ooh, it's chilly. Okay, but it pretty much kind of played out almost the same. Um, but there were some situations where, um, okay, one thing I could say is that they definitely were priming us. Like they had like this set resonant emotion or this set amplified anxiety just kind of like setting on my body. And it's interesting because the more I practice doing energy work stuff and learning to understand what my energy body is feeling, not just the physical body, I've been training my mind to think on a different, I guess, density. So now it's like I'm trying not to focus so much on what my physical body is feeling, because when you think about it, they're tapping into your energy body to basically control your physical body. So I've just been focusing myself on paying attention to the subtle energies. And what I've been noticing over time is you can tell when they're about to start doing things to you, because it's this weird little, like, you could be sitting completely still and not even really be thinking about anything, or you could think about something that'll make you feel really happy or something, and then just pay attention to the energy fluctuations in your body. Eventually you may start to feel this slight little discomforting thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's almost like I think anyone who's ever really had whoever really have experience with like old school tuning radios, you really are being tuned to certain frequencies and tuned to certain emotions. Um, so like I said, where we came this year with her 8-year-old son, and since even before we left New York, there was all this. It was almost like you got to remember with the digital twin technology, they program that digital version of yourself, and it works as like a digital interface over your body, right? So it's like, even though you're looking at me, there is a whole totally like digital layer over my body that looks exactly like me, right? And what they're doing is from wherever I don't know if it's from an app on a phone or a laptop or whatever the case, they're basically telling the AI or whatever, telling the system to make him feel this emotion for this amount of time. And you do realize over time that these attacks, they do have time limits. So it's like to me, I think it's like time limits. I feel like when you feel things that last way longer than, let's say, just a few hours or a day or two, that means that's damage that had set in. So it's like, it's not that they're constantly stimulating you all the time. At some point the damage has set into your body, and now it's like, because I don't think they just basically have, like, okay, they're just going to be like, okay, give him the sensation of you know, I don't know, like someone stabbing him in his chest. Because right now I'm feeling, I felt this pain stimulation since I left the room about 10, 15 minutes ago. Actually, not even before I left the room, not even after I left the room. It was while I was in the room. What time is it? It's probably like 4:15 a.m. or something. I know we're on our way to Costa Rica, but so it's like I felt something like first when I woke up, my girl, she didn't know how to turn off my phone because she has an iPhone and I have an Android. So she didn't know how to turn my phone off. So even though she put it in the Faraday bag, um, we put it in the Faraday bag, closed up the bag, and then put it in the safe that's that comes with the room. Then closed the door to the safe, and we could still feel the energy. We could still feel the radiation coming out of the safe and coming towards our bodies, right? So like right now, it was like my phone had this resonance with me. Matter of fact, the resonance is just stronger right now. So you see where my thumb is at? Where my thumb is at, that's where they have a resonance. There's like this wave that's resonating with me, and it's coming from the bottom of this phone, right? Now I do have my Wi-Fi on because I'm trying to use the ship's internet access here, because now we're in the middle of the ocean, so we don't got no cell service. But the resonance I felt like like while I was in the room, it felt like this slight little discomforting tingle. That's how it started off. And then as I walked out the room and started to walk down into the corridor, that's when it started to build up. So it's like over time, it starts off as like a I don't know, what do you call it, like a initial, like an initial I don't know, it's a starter, like when you I don't know, when you put lighter fluid on wood, you know, it's like that's your start. Well, I don't know, it's not the same. Damn, I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost like when you plant a seed in the ground and then you water it for it to grow, right? So it's like they planted the seed here, or they got the resonance, and then once the resonance is made, then they just increase the energy output wherever the energy source is coming from. They just increase the output, and then you start to feel the pain build. But the thing you got to remember is, as you feel the pain build, the wave actually becomes more palpable. You can feel it more with your hands. The more intense the pain that you're feeling, the more palpable you'll be able to feel the cord. So once the pain sets in, you're like, okay, so now you know that's a lot of data or a lot of energy being transferred in that cord. So once it becomes palpable, now you can trace it. You can trace it. Once you grab it and you feel the vibration of the cord in your hand. So it's like I got it in between my thumb and my index finger. Now, even though I have it in my between my thumb and index finger, I have it, but it still resonated with me. I could pull it this way, and I could still feel the energy travel going here, because they have the resonant frequency of whatever this area is here. It's not necessarily my heart. My heart is like up here, right? Like my heart is up here, but whatever I'm feeling, it's like right here. So it's like right here. Let me see. Yeah, it's like right here. So it's like I could feel the cord going in a direction like this, and then it comes to the phone. So, and that's interesting because with me telling you already that I don't have cell service, we're in the middle of the ocean. and I didn't pay for the ship's internet package. At least I didn't do no whole week, not the whole thing. So it's like I don't really have any internet access, at least through the device. That lets you know we're connected to something else. We're connected to something else. We all have a MAC address or IP address, Bluetooth signal. So we're all connected to the cloud and whatever satellite connections that they have. Because, I mean, you see, we're in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing out there. So you know we're not near any cell towers at all. Like, it's just blackness. Can you? I know I said this last week, but that's scary though. It's like it's just darkness. Like if you fall off the boat, that's it. You probably dead. That's it. Like that's scary. But anyway, so what so here's something else that I realized too. If you don't have Kapton tape works as like a insulator to help contain electromagnetic fields or separate them rather. So it's like they use Kapton tape in in many electronic devices, and I think they also NASA uses it too, or whenever someone's trying to build like a spaceship or anything that needs to not have electromagnetic interference. So you could put a piece of Kapton tape on your phone, and I realized that helps reduce the field, the electromagnetic field around the phone. I didn't have any more Kapton tape, so I didn't get a chance to put some on this phone. What else? Yeah, so me excelling like that's me trying to decrease the pressure of the energy building up here. Something else I learned you could do is when you find out where they're sourcing the energy from, I realized, so like if it's coming from your phone, if you're able to realize it's coming from your phone, tap your phone against a hard surface. When you do that, pay attention to what you feel in your body, because every time when I do that, when I tap my phone on a hard surface, I feel this like reduction of like, I don't know, it almost feels like something got shooken up and then it just said ew, like it just powered down or something. So that lets me know it's definitely a resonance, because in order for in order for a resonance to happen, both of the receiver and the sender, they have to be, in tune with each other. But if you hit your phone against something hard, that just creates a vibration on the device. And once that vibration occurs, that kind of like shakes up, maybe the field or something. I don't know exactly yet, but that shakes it up or breaks it up. So yeah. And then something else I learned too is if that don't work, tapping the areas where you're feeling the assaults happen, that's also something else you can do. And matter of fact, there's a whole community of people who know about the healing effects of actually tapping. They call it the tapping community, actually. So it's an actual thing. People basically just tap parts of their body that they feel stress or pain and discomfort. They just lightly tapping. Because you got to remember, if you tap these areas where this is one area that they're causing, like they got a buildup up here. I mean, I don't know, they got several different nodes all over my body. This one's been building over time, so this one will probably take some time. Yeah, there we go. That's a good spot right there. And it's like as I keep tapping, I could feel all this heat, just like some of it's coming out my mouth, but then I could also feel it like coming out of my neck. I could feel it coming out of my back. Ooh, that really does feel good. Okay, all right, I feel good. All right, tapping. Cause remember I told you I don't have a lot of money. I work, but I work hard, and and I'm thankful that I still can work. I'm thankful that I'm thankful that God is still feeding me, even when a lot of times I do wrong to my own health. I'm thankful that God still sending me things, and God is still giving me information. God is still helping me with things. But yeah, so I was really trying to find a bar that's open right now. I know there gotta be one somewhere. But anyway, yeah, so I am this is our yay. Right. Oh. Yeah, I was like I found this pretty interesting too. I wanted to see where is action adventure teams onboard activities. How you doing?
Good morning.
Is there a way that it shows like on the globe map where?
Where you want to go?
Yeah. Does it show where the ship is at now?
The actual exact position.
Yeah.
The position there is not the.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Thank
Like
you.
you can get it on days if you're after 7:30 you can go outside. Deck kilo one. The
Mhm.
sliding door is available.
Uh-huh.
You just go through it. The forward.
Uh-huh.
The one system is there. You can see it's in the exact position, track, and everything. You can check it on there.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, oh wait, is this one of those oh no, this is the spot area. Right, and oh my goodness, so I got a story to tell. And it's amazing because even to this very day, I'm still feeling it. And I think what happened was they took advantage of an opening that was created. I thought about doing some of this stuff though. But anyway, so there was a time when last year we had did the acupuncture consultation, and we did the acupuncture consultation, and I didn't even ask him to do it, but he just like dropped one of them needles like right into like that I don't know, one of the little muscles of my, I don't know, it was like somewhere in between my thumb and my index finger. Poked one of them things in there, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna do that. and then I mean, I don't know if I don't think it felt good. I don't think it felt like the way it was supposed to feel. But this is also my body that's being targeted though. So it's like, I think when they did that, they created a puncture wound, obviously, because they just stuck a needle in. But they created a puncture wound, which basically and then it's a metal needle too. So that shit basically turned into an antenna of a sort, I think, because when he took it out, I felt this like, oh, look at Miles Davis. But when they took it out, I felt this this numbing sensation still lingering in my hand, and even to this day, it's still there. And then I realized something. I said, hold up. Oh. So I said, hold up. I said, why am I still feeling this numbing sensation? So I went like this. And then lo and behold, there's a whole cord connected right into the spot where he stuck it at. And it's right here. And I was like, okay, so that's exactly what they did. And it's like my hand's been going numb ever since he stuck that thing in. Which means, I mean, I'm not blaming the guy, but I'm realizing that anytime you have some type of damage or wound or any type of opening, cavities too, because if you got cavities, that's a straight direct access for them to have to be able to basically, send one of their energy waves to, go right through the cavity of your tooth and go directly to the nerve. So yeah, they've been pumping energy or radiation, electromagnetic waves into that opening, and I'm like, you gotta remember, they're talking nano scale size. So like these, and then like the waveforms, they're very, very needle-like. So it was like, oh my goodness, I just gave them an opening with by letting that guy stick me with that acupuncture needle. But ultimately, what I'm also realizing too is that we gotta be completely mindful. We gotta be completely mindful of we gotta be completely mindful of how our body works and the electrical interactions our body has with people and things. My girlfriend, she had got herself some glow in the dark frames, right? Glow in the dark glasses frames. She said before her glasses weren't bothering her because we realized the metal that's on your glasses, they can use the metal from your glasses to actually bounce waves off. And so like just like how that metal is there, I actually feel like energy coming from that metal, and then I could like feel it sometimes. Actually, like right now, I could feel it connecting to somewhere on my face. Hello. It's like I went to sleep at 7:30 and I said, oh, I'm just gonna be here till 8. Then I woke up at 4 a.m. So now I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. So and it's funny because I am a trooper. Like I really am doing a really good job with controlling my emotions, because now that I've exposed myself to so much information and learning literally everything is energy and everything is frequency and vibration, you have to make yourself fully aware of what you want to focus on. Like I'm telling you, you have to be mindful of yourself. Because if you keep focusing on like the pain or the after effect of what they're doing to you, if you just keep focusing on that, you're not going to find a solution. You're not going to find the little quirks and stuff that you can do. I said quirks. Is it quirks? Like you're not going to be able to find all the stuff that you need to do in order to relieve yourself of the stimulation. Like the only way you're going to be able to do that is you got to be mindful. You have to be very attentive and mindful of yourself and how your energy body is. Right, I'm like, there's nothing open right now. I must have to go all the way down there. Maybe I'll go to 5. Okay, I'll go to 5 then. Yeah, it seems like everything else is closed. But yeah, so mindfulness is key, and I think that's one of the things that's like said, well, not often said, that helps this whole mesh wireless body area network thing works is because when people don't know about their energy body, and when you, and the other part is religion. It's like, all right, some religions are really good for you because they're a framework. They're it's like a playbook for life, right? But the thing is, certain religions block you from information that you should know about yourself. I know a lot of Christians don't always agree with, things that they see Hindus do and stuff like that. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I learned a lot more about my spiritual body by looking into stuff like mudras and chakra points and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, the Bible is a lot more cryptic, right? The Bible is a bit more, not cryptic, but it's like you gotta figure stuff out, or you gotta like really connect with God in order to like really understand certain things. But it's like when you look into what like the Eastern cultures are doing, it's like they got it all mapped. They got the energy body mapped out for you, right? And you got to remember, with these intelligence agencies and all that stuff, they sent people to do research about the body in those Eastern cultures. Like, they sent people to go and understand the human body in ways that the average person won't know. Like, why do you think the CIA has documents about mind control and telekinesis and other types of stuff dealing with energy and the mind? And why do you think the army has people that the military has people that go out and study these things? Because ultimately they're expecting the average person not to know these things, and that's why there's a lot of TIs who I have come to find are just average people, right? And the average person don't know about certain things. And the V2K, they're always like, people not supposed to know. And I'm like, but you're killing people who probably shouldn't even be killed. Well, I mean, for the most part, hey, if God allowed it, then it was supposed to happen, right? That's the rule of thumb. If God allowed it to happen, then it was meant to happen. How you doing? Oh, that's been happening to me all day. Take care. Yeah. But it's like, and it's like the floor wasn't even slippery. It's like I'm not picking up my feet. And I don't know, it's strange though, even though I ride a bike for 8 hours. Oh, okay, I'm gonna tell you, this is delicious. Forget about Bailey's, right? This, if you get your hands on this is actually, and it looks cooler too, because when you pour it out, it actually layers by itself. Like it's separate, but when you pour it into a cup, it actually layers. Like I think the black part will be on top and the white part will be on the bottom. So but yeah, this is a nice boat though. This is really nice. And it's like, this almost feels like a town, but it's inside of a boat. Yeah, I wanted to come here too. This looks cool. But like I tell you, mindfulness. Gotta learn to make yourself knowledgeable of your spiritual energy body, because that's the one that they're really talking. That's the one that this technology is really communicating with, the spiritual body. Let me see. They look like they're closed. So yeah, it might not be no food out right now. Anyway, what they got? Coffee? I'll probably get me a coffee. I don't think I'm going back to sleep. I slept from basically 7:30. Oh, the morning crew. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so yeah, I just had a nice little conversation with some other, you know, people that's on a vacation too. That was really good. And the thing is like, okay, so I really hate being targeted though, but I understand it's also kind of like a it's I don't know, I'm learning to appreciate certain things about this targeting experience. Um I'm learning to appreciate certain things because even though at first glance it seems like it's one of the most horrible things that could happen to a human being, but if you change how you look at it, you change how you want to, you know, if you change how you want to perceive it, it's information waiting for you to grab. Like this is it's a lot of information that's waiting for you to take in. Oh, this one's closed. Cause it's like I feel like once you start getting targeted, it's like I feel like that's one of those moments where God is like, okay, this is how I'm letting you know you're one of my chosen ones. Because if the entirety of the world, and remember the scripture, if ye was of the world would love thee, but because ye was of the world, and I have chosen you from the world. Remember that part. Because it said, and since I have chosen you from the world, meaning you were of the world at one point. And then all of a sudden, something happens, and now all of a sudden it seems like the world turns against you, right? And then the scripture finishes off, since I have chosen you from the world will hate you. You got to realize it's not that terrible that you're being targeted. Yes, it's horrible because of what you have to experience, but life in this dimension, in this world, we're not promised anything but to experience, right? We're not really promised a life without, stress or torment or anything like that. But we are promised to be able to experience and learn everything that we can while we're in this density. And and all the ones, the secret ones who've had all this information and knowledge, they're banking on you to never ever catch on, right? That's why there has to be people like me, or people like Sabrina Wallace and I don't know, other people, like including all the other TIs who are recording their videos and telling their experiences about their target. It's like it's up to people like us to help wake up other people, even if we don't have. And that's one of the things that they've been trying to tell me so much about. Is like, Chris, you waking up people and you don't even know how to help them. I'm like, well, because I'm also realizing I can't just know this information myself, and I'm watching several people go through things that they're going through that they probably don't have to go through, at least to the severity of what they're going through. Because when you realize that resonance is everything, and then they got this whole digital network, this wireless network that's basically interfering and manipulating the energy body, which controls the physical body. Yeah, when someone thinks that their stroke was probably produced because maybe they ate something bad or whatever, it's like, before you think that, can I tell you some other information that might help you, track certain things or look at things from a different perspective? Because you got to remember, there's so much evidence out there that there are perfectly healthy people who are having heart attacks and strokes, and I don't know, people who are developing neurological diseases, or disabilities and stuff. And it's like, and people and doctors are constantly always saying, well, how did it happen, or what? But I'm healthy, I work out, I take vitamins, dude. And it's like, right, because it doesn't make sense. Why would someone who's healthy just out of nowhere just start developing these things? This is when I start to go into the whole part where I'm like, okay, so this happened to you. Let me ask you something about you. Would you say that you're a good person? Would you say that you believe in doing the right thing? Would you say that you actually, like, if you seen someone in distress, like if you seen like a woman or a child being hurt or something like that, would you do something? You got to remember, they're going after specific characters. They're going after specific types of people. Because if you look around at the world, it's not like they're going after those who are orchestrating or creating a lot of, like, I'll call it white collar crimes that are having an influence on the average everyday person. They're not going after them. They're empowering them. And then what I'm also realizing is those who are probably just as malicious and who can be violent and stuff, they are now being given a whole new avenue, or a whole new, like, medium for them to use and work through in order to carry out what they want to do. So it's like, you got to realize, like, they're taking it, they're making it in a way so that if you wanted to become Joe the Butcher, if you wanted to become Joe the Butcher, but you didn't want to go through the whole part of, I don't know, actually abducting somebody, and then, having to deal with keeping them quiet, and then the blood and all that stuff. What they basically did was they created a digital, like a augmented reality, so that, I don't know, Joe the dentist, when he's not tuned into this density and working on patients and stuff, he's literally tuning into another density where he is now Joe the Butcher, and he's, I don't know, pulling people's teeth out in the VR world, and whoever the victim is, they keep getting this sensational feeling like someone's trying to pull their teeth out and they don't know what's happening. Yeah, they're giving some of the most worst people in the world like a whole nother avenue to be able to do whatever it is that they want. Like, my mother is 76 years old, disabled. She don't have no money. She's a fighter nonetheless. She does not play. So yeah, and my mom has been that way like her whole life. My mom is a fighter. She grew up defending her siblings. She was never afraid to she don't just go around trying to fight people, but she speaks up for herself. My grandparents, they taught all their kids to speak up for themselves and don't let nobody push you over and stuff like that, and always read, know your laws, know your rights and stuff. Even though I haven't, I took in quite a bit of that from my mom, but I never really took up the whole legal and law education side like she has. Like, my mom, she took it and ran with it because she figured, you know what, she likes to fight, so the best thing that she does is she learns her laws and her rights, so then when she does want to fight, she knows exactly what to say and what to do. So then if there's ever any case where, like, she, I don't know, if she ever got into a legal situation, she knows what to do because she looks it up. She's very independent, and that's one of the reasons why I love her, because my mom is a very strong woman, and she not just strong, but she is morally sound. She is a morally sound woman. Yeah, she has her struggles too, but she's human, you know. But yeah. So, and me, I like, I definitely got. Well, I haven't gotten into trouble. Like I've never been arrested or got a record or anything like that. But it's like I still took chances and stuff like that. But I always had this thing in the back of my mind that I never wanted to do anything that would really, you know, I never wanted to do anything that would make my mother feel disappointed in me, because that would be that's usually one of the first things that whenever I do something that my mom knows she didn't raise me to do or to be, she'll always say it in a way like she's like, I know I raised you better than that. And every time she says something like that, it's like in my mind I'm like, you're right, because you ain't ever let me see you do anything like that. So, but yeah, yeah, mindfulness, because they're trying to control our mind. So if you don't learn to take control of your own mind, they're just going to constantly keep tuning and tinkering away at everything. I'm looking at my haircut because I'm like, I forget what my head looked like. And that was one of the other reasons as to why I cut my hair too, because I kept telling myself, you know what, I want to get closer to the scalp because I want to be able to feel certain divots, or I don't know, because I feel like over time, when they've been connecting all these different W bands to my body or connecting all these other devices and stuff to my body, they're burrowing like little nano-sized holes, or through the skull, so they could get to certain parts of the body or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but because there's certain parts of the body that I'll be like, I don't think I've always had this here, especially like right in between my index finger and middle finger. There is a dent here. There's like this. It's a weird divot or dent in here, and like right in between those two fingers, there's like a weird divot or dent there, and I know I never had that there before prior to I know I never had that there prior to 2020. So it's like they're changing our bodies in so many ways. But you know what? I'm just glad that I did not let myself fall into the fear of, you know what I think really messed them up was giving me V2K. And I said this before. That part messed them up, because once I heard someone else's voice, actually not even just someone else's voice, I think they overdid it when they put 4 people on the the V2K. When they put 4 people on it, I think it started off like I tell my day one V2K story all the time, but it's like when they started it started off with just one of them. I think it started off with just one guy, and then he was just like, "We're gonna shoot you in your sleep." That scared me, right? When it was just one person, that scared me, right? It scared me to the point where I went into fight mode, and I was almost willing to die that day. I ain't kidding. I was like, nobody gonna shoot me in my sleep. You gonna shoot me while I'm awake, So it was like, and I went out looking for somebody too, but of course, didn't find nobody, right? Now, then the second male voice came on. Then I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, there's 2. And then that's when like I broke down crying because I remember my mom, she was always telling me, you need to stop drinking so much. You need to stop smoking weed. You know, you're gonna get your head bad. You're gonna get your head bad. You know they doing all kinds of stuff to these street drugs and da 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 da. You need to stop doing this stuff. So I broke down crying. I was like, oh my God, I messed my head up. I was like, no. And I felt like so disappointed in myself because I was like, damn. I was like, my mother warned me too. But then it wasn't until voice number 3, a woman. She comes on and she does the whole, oh, don't cry. Look, he crying. Oh, you ain't gotta cry, Chris. Don't cry. And then I was like, that's where they really messed themselves up because they could have probably had me under their thumb for like a good hard minute, but it wasn't until the woman voice came on that was like, don't cry. Then I was like, something clicked in my head and I was like, wait, something don't feel natural about this. I was like, it's one thing that I heard one voice, then the second voice came on, but then when that woman's voice came on, I was like, and plus it's like, it's also that, you know, I grew up around mostly women in my family anyway, so it's like, I don't know, I think I have a different type of connection when it comes to women or whatnot. I don't know, maybe I was resonate with something I heard in her voice, you know. To this day I be like, I tell maybe I should say that part on video, but but yeah, so it was just like yeah, but it's funny though because I'll say this. I think the woman, one of the two women, for actually coming in and saying what they said that night. Because if it wasn't for her coming in and saying don't cry and doing like the fake sympathy, if it wasn't for her, I would have been locked into a whole psychosis and would have probably been messed up, right? I probably would have been messed up. But it was her voice, and it's like, See, I was single at the time, so in my mind, I was like, oh, she sound like she looked good, and I was like, who is this talking about don't cry? I was started wiping the tears away and stuff, and I was like, and then it was like eventually. That's when I started to like when I heard her voice, something clicked in my mind, and then I was like, something don't feel natural about what I'm experiencing right now. So I just started to pay attention a little bit more, and then I think it was like the next day, that's when I realized I recognized these voices. And these voices are the people that live in this building, and I was like, right, because the dude actually sound like the dude whose mom lives down the hall. And I was like, right, it does sound like him. And then I was thinking of that first. So then what I did was, and I was trying to figure out, I was like, why the girl voice sounds so familiar? Why the woman's voice sounds so familiar? So then I started thinking about people, and then all of a sudden, this one particular face popped up, and then I heard one of the dudes say, stop thinking about my girl. And then I was like, right. I was like, it's the couple that live down the hall. So I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, now I know who it is. But of course, I can't just walk up on somebody and say, hey, you projecting your voice in my head? Can't do that because that's going to sound crazy, right? So it's like, over this time period from October or September, I think it was like October of 2020 to now, I have already built up profiles of each person, right? I've built up profiles, even though I don't know their names. I feel like I know aspects of their personality that they probably don't even realize that I know. Or maybe they do. I don't know. But of course, they're going to keep, tinkering away with the AI and tinkering away at the digital twin to try to see how many ways they can throw me aloof. So then I'm not like, I don't know, I'm not catching on to them even more or whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's about mindfulness, man. And it's like, even though I think that was like one of my first moments of like, even though I wasn't aware of mindfulness and or the term mindfulness and all these things, like I wasn't as like I could say I've always been kind of like a deep introspective person. Introspective and outrospective, is that a word? Probably not, I don't know. Anyway, but it's like I've always been one that analyzes things a lot. Even back in college and in school, I've been called an analytical thinker. So I was like, I think they did not do their homework right. I think it was one of those situations where it was like, because of the incident in March, I think he was just mad that I actually gave my phone to the victim, or at least what I thought was the victim. I don't know if she was a victim or not. I haven't seen that woman again. I don't even know if they killed her or not. Because, I mean, she was the one that called the police. I just gave her my phone. The V2K, they was like, you're not supposed to let nobody call the police. And I was like, so I'm just going to deny her of her own decision? No, I'm not going to do that to her. Look, is she walking around bleeding, and you got her phone and her phone's broken? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna let her use my phone. I'm not calling the police, but I'm like, I'm gonna let her use my phone so then she could get the help she needs. I'm like, well, I'm gonna deny this woman, and I don't even know the woman. What I'm gonna deny her something that she actually, wants to do. If I denied her that right, that would make me no different. That would make me no different from the stalkers, then, right? So, and they're like, Chris, you a snitch. You don't even realize you a snitch. And I'm like, no, I assisted somebody in snitching. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, because like me speaking for myself, I've never called the police on no one ever in my life. Yeah. And I'm thinking about it, it's like, right, I never called the police on anyone a day in my life. Not one time. But I'm also never in a situation where I need to call the police. Because most of the time I feel like a lot of things can be done to handle a situation before you actually call the police. Thinking about it now, so the thought that just crossed my mind was when me and my girlfriend moved into our now apartment, and the upstairs neighbors was just doing the most. They're not as loud as they were before we had put in the 311. It was a noise complaint, but then the cops actually came one day, and then they came. And I was like, oh snap, they actually came. And then I don't know why, but she put our address and apartment, so then they came and knocked on our door too. I was like, damn. And I remember when the cops came, and then I heard them probably like talking upstairs. I heard them talking to the neighbors upstairs. And then and I mean, it's a noise complaint, right? It's a noise complaint, So, cause I mean, it's obvious. It was a weekday, 3:00 in the morning, and you're like, I don't know, having a party or moving a bunch of furniture or something. I'm like, I don't know why. There was so many hours of the day that they could have did all this. Why do it at 3 a.m.? And it was like 4 nights in a row. So we was just like, nah. Because if they're doing it at this time of the day, that means this is routine for them. So that means nobody said shit. So I'm just like, so I'm supposed to just take this? Because I was like, I could go up there and ask them to keep it down. But what's the likelihood of them doing this if this has been a normal thing for them to do and nobody else actually says anything to them? So I'm just like, this is insane. I was like, but whatever. They're like, Chris, you're giving the supervisor so much information. You're giving everybody so much information. I'm like, well, I also know that there's a lot of information already being extracted from everyone. So it's like, regardless of what information they're supposedly getting from me, I already know that the entire world is leaking information, and only a small percentage of people or entities. I don't even want to call them people. I call them entities. Um, it's a small percentage of these entities who have access to all this information that's being leaked to the cloud. Well, it's not being leaked; it's being extracted to the cloud. So but in my mind, I'm just like, I'm just trying to understand. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I could feel the pressure build up here. It's like here. It's like a lot of stuff is happening like in this area of my energy field, and then it's like coming in here, and I could feel all this like it's like I can feel something flowing inwards into this side of my head. And when I do this, I could feel something hitting the back of my hand. Memory. Yeah. So literally it feels like those electric shock balls, like the big ball where if you put your hands on it, like it looks like that ball of electricity, but when you put your hand on it, all of the little waves of energy focuses on your hand. Well, it's like it's kind of like your brain is like that center, right? The center part where all that energy is coming from, right? Your brain is that center part. But instead of it just shooting out, it's a resonance between other things that's outside of that sphere, connecting to all these different it's like instead of it coming outwards, it's going in, right? So it's just the reverse. So it's like your brain would be that focal point of where the energy is, but instead of the energy shooting outwards, it's coming in. Even though we are emitting light outwards, it's because of that emitting light, that emitting energy and information that's going outwards. Their technology just basically sees it, and then it finds, and then it just links to it. It creates a connection. So now it's like even though you have information going out, now they know that specific, frequency, and then they basically just, it's like a two-way street. It becomes a two-way street. Then I don't know what better way to explain it. But your body naturally is like that anyway, because energetically speaking, it's like we're always constantly sending and receiving information. You gotta think in terms of when you start getting into the whole part about consciousness and realizing that a lot of times when you receive certain thoughts or whatever, a lot of thoughts that may arise in your mind, it wasn't something that you thought of yourself. You actually received it from somewhere. And this is before technology. This is well before technology. Technology in itself has Ahriman, riddled all within it. Because Ahriman is a malevolent entity. And if you haven't learned who Ahriman is, you should definitely look into him. I think it's spelled Ahrimon. I think. Yeah, I think that's it. Ahrimon. Look up Ahriman, and you will, when you understand who are the spiritual aspect, or yeah, the spiritual aspect or energy aspect of who Ahriman is, and you look at the world today, you will see why they say less is better. Because when you have less material things in your life, you will not have so many openings to your livelihood. You won't have so many things attached to you, and things take on energy. Like things take on energy, and that's one thing that we have to constantly remind ourselves, because every material that you see basically has can take a charge, or yeah, it can, everything can absorb energy. We don't realize it, but this column right here is has energy stored inside of it, right? It's like, I don't know how long this ship has been here, but with as many people that has ever been on this ship, I'm sure that there's probably somebody who's a medium or whatever, who could probably touch that column and sense so many different lives, or so many energies, or someone who's probably deeply like someone who's probably like a master at understanding energy and meditation. They could probably touch this column and tell how many people ever touched this column, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, there's a whole aspect to this, and we have to remind ourselves that technology in itself is literally just being, it's like if you remember video games back in the 90s, you remember Game Genie? So it's like, think of your body as like a console, like a Super Nintendo console or something like that, right? And then the video game cartridges is basically the information. You're the console. Video game cartridges are basically the information that you download and process in the body, right? The Game Genie was this thing. It was kind of like, it was like this cartridge back then. Back then, it was like a cartridge that basically was like a hack or something, and it was like a way to it was like I think before they were like actual like cheat codes and stuff. You put the regular game cartridge in the Game Genie, and the Game Genie was kind of like an interface or some other, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was like something that it was like an additional thing, or like some other additional thing, and the information from the game cartridge, the software from the game cartridge, is then now being interfaced with the Game Genie. So basically, instead of us just receiving the information directly from the game cartridge, right? Everything that we pick up in our lives, instead of us just receiving it straight from the game cartridge, they're acting as the Game Genie. So in the worst case perspective, we're getting the worst aspect of the Game Genie. We're not getting the cheat codes. We're not getting the unlimited lives. We're not getting the unlimited access to information. We're not getting all that. They're playing gatekeepers to the information we're supposed to be getting from the game cartridge. And the game cartridge is life in itself, like natural life, natural information that we can pick up and receive, things, whatever is going on outside of our body. We're not getting that in the way that we are supposed to get it, because they're acting as this gatekeeper, and they're manipulating so many things. But yeah, I got something on my, what is that? Sorry. Anyway, I think that's it for now. I just wanted to just, put that out there, because, I count my days, and when I wake up, I just be like, thank God you woke me up again. And I wiggle my toes, I move my feet, I make sure I'm still intact, because I know at some point, I'm not going to say I know, but just watching so many different TIs die, and just watching People who don't even know that they're TS, but you could tell based on the life that they live, you're probably being targeted because of who you are. People who are exposing human rights violations and stuff like that. Some of them, they may notice some of their targeting because of things like communications disruptions, or if they get, like, I don't know, harassed by, I don't know, some corrupt cops in this particular part of wherever they are. There's all these different types of things that they can do, but it's like when you start dealing with the body issues and issues with your cognition, you gotta remember, well, based on the life that you live, they're targeting you because you are someone who is a truther. They're targeting you because you may actually have the potential to disrupt someone's income or their power. And we are in a time period where it seems like everything that's good is being flipped to something that's bad, and everything that's bad is being flipped to good. This is just a repeat of the human I don't want to say the human experience, but this is just a repeat of life in itself. This is nothing new. Nothing that they're doing right now is new, because everything that they're doing is the same intentional actions that they have been practicing and doing for decades, centuries even. It's just that now technology just made it more advanced, so that the average. It's like the way technology has advanced now. People who normally wouldn't be murderers or criminal, let's just say like, I don't know, mid-level to high-level criminal factors, people who normally wouldn't be in those levels, now with the technology, it gives them a medium, it gives them a way to be those people without actually getting caught. But and they're always trying to make me feel fear of, like, dying, and somebody's going to kill you, or somebody's going to kill your family, or somebody's going to do this. And it's like, well, me being my over analytical self, I'm going to think to myself, well, y'all were probably going to do these things anyway. And then if you weren't going to do it anyway, you probably was eventually going to do it anyway. Because if they can't corrupt you or they can't control you, what do you think people who can't get their way normally do? They have a fit. And usually when they have a fit, they do something to make situations or matters worse. Yeah. I mean, that's where emotional intelligence come into play. And they always talk about me being emotional. They're like, Chris is so emotional. He got a lot of emotional energy. It's like, nah, I think I've been like, because I'm emotional and I'm well in tune with my emotions, and I have learned how to step outside of that emotional body, because we have several layers to our energy body, and you have an emotional layer. And your emotions are energy. You got to remember that your emotions are energy. When you learn to actually step out of your emotional energy body, you could actually take the moment and trace or track the root of where that emotion came from. And when you start to learn to dissect and understand your emotions and what you're feeling at that time, you'll realize a lot of actions that people make, they could literally be like, they could be what's the word? They could be wrong in a sense, because when you act very emotionally, sometimes, well, you're not thinking rationally. And that's one thing that they're trying to tell me. They're like, oh, Chris is so emotional, he don't realize he's telling so much information, or he's doing this, or he don't realize he's jeopardizing people's lives, or he's victimizing people, or he's turning people into victims and all that. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't have anything energetically telling me that I'm doing something wrong. There's nothing in my being telling me that what I'm doing is wrong. There's nothing in my being, no matter how many different layers I go through, or even when I connect to Source, God, Allah, Yahweh, whoever you want to call it, I don't have anything telling me that I'm doing something wrong. The people who are telling me that I'm doing something wrong are the ones who's doing the worst to other people. Because it's like, okay, why do you need to control someone when the best thing you could actually do is help them control themselves? Like, why try to control someone when it's probably much better to help them control themselves? Right? Like, if you want someone to acknowledge that they done something wrong, you tell them, right? You tell them. And then you point out why, in the most respectable way you can, why that's wrong. And then give them the moment to actually analyze why it's wrong. Now, if they can't seem to understand or get why it's wrong, then that's when you have to go on another level or something like that. You gotta, do something else. But I don't necessarily believe in controlling anyone. I believe people should be able to control themselves. But now when you think about this remote neural stimulation and the digital twins and the wireless sensor networks and the mesh networks and all this other stuff, you realize that they basically they also interfere with people's abilities to be able to rationalize. Because let's say you close to somebody who is going through something, and they constantly find themselves going through things or whatnot, and then that person, they don't know anything about the technology, they don't know anything about secret societies or gang stalking. They don't know none of that stuff, but they always find themselves, like, when you try to talk to them about certain things, they always seem like you could tell when certain people are trying to think rationally, or they're trying to be a good person, but then they still do things that's wrong. It's like, you got to remember, there's something in the mind that's interfering with their decision making. And it's like a tune. It's a frequency, right? It's like it's like when you think about someone who is a diabetic, right? That's deep. Hold on. It's like, okay, someone who has a spending impulse, like me. I have a spending impulse, right? A lot of times I don't always think about every single purchase. I don't think about every time. Like, a lot of times I don't always think when I want to spend money. Like if I had the money to buy one of these, I don't know. If I like it, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not even really gonna think about it. If I like it, I'm gonna buy it. And that's just how my mind is. And then there's also the idea that, like, in my mind, I think it's like kind of like not really the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, there's always ways to make more money. So even if I buy this, I'm gonna make money anyway. I can make this money back. But of course, not everything isn't always promised, right? So, yeah. Now they're like, Chris, it's a lot of people watching you. And I'm like, well, y'all been telling me this since 2020. So it's like, I mean, like, if you tell someone there's a lot of people watching you, right? I can understand, like, if this was like my first year or something, and then you go, oh, it's a lot of people watching you. Me, I'll probably be thinking, like, in the beginning, it starts off with thinking like, oh, maybe it's just a couple dozen people watching me. But then over time, I realized, no, this is a global network on a global cloud server, and you realize that this gang stalking thing is happening around the globe. So just go ahead and already assume that there are millions of people watching your life. Just go ahead and assume. Once you let that set in, you will eventually stop allowing certain things to bother you. So because the V2K, they always want to constantly say, oh, there's a lot of people watching you. It's like, well, when I realized that this is a global system, I was like, okay, so there could be millions of people watching me. I'm not gonna let myself keep getting caught on or emotionally attached to the lingual programming of Michael saying that there are a lot of people watching you. It's like, no, it makes no sense for me to keep allowing myself to be emotionally attached to that statement, because I already know this is a global wireless sensor network. So it's like, I already know there are millions of people watching. So him just saying that, it's just him trying to see if he can reach for the stars, and maybe he'll get like a specific brainwave or frequency out of me. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a new one. Grab that one, resonate with that one, and then we can gain access. Remember that they're tuning. And then whenever you find things that work, little quirks and stuff like that, or you learn that knocking on something or doing this, you find all these little quirks that can create little disruptions, little subtle energy disruptions in your energy field. You realize they have to adjust, because as you learn more about your energy body, they're going to have to keep adjusting. The system is going to have to keep adjusting. Now, the other thing I'm going to finish with this part. The other thing that I'm learning is that, I forgot to mention, I just had a nice little conversation with this retired veteran, and it's so strange, because it's almost like I can almost tell when people have been it's like people who are in the service or retired, military, you can tell sometimes. And it's so strange. But I asked the guy, I was like, what branch? And he was like, submarines. And then he said he helped build up Space Force. And in my mind, I was fighting the urge to ask about the technology, because it was like 5 or 6 other people in the room. So I was like, you know what? If I see him again, I might ask him about it. But I'm not going to ask him around all these people, because one thing I realized is, like, if you want to talk about this to certain people, it's probably better to do it when you can, like, get them by themselves, so then at least maybe they'll feel a little bit more comfortable or whatever. But then if they already know about the technology, then they probably already know not to say nothing, because they're being oh my goodness, they're being watched themselves too, because they're connected to the cloud just like you are. Golly, that was a big old eye booger, and I see another one right there. I'm so sorry, this is so nasty. But anyway, I paused for a second because it sounded like the volume of the V2K turned down just a little bit, and I still haven't figured that part out. Why does the volume fluctuate? Like, sometimes it sounds louder, and then sometimes it sounds normal. Like, sometimes it sounds lower. And I haven't quite figured that out yet. And I keep wondering, maybe it is something like what they say. It's a tune. Like, they have this resonant frequency, and I haven't figured out what that frequency is to tune it out. This was an accident. I didn't even realize I was going to find myself interfering with a link. There is something here. Yeah, there's all kinds of chords going, and even though you can't see it, one of these days I'm gonna find some type of device that's gonna be able to pick up on this subtle thermal energy of these chords, because that's what I learned that I'm feeling. It's the thermal energy of the resonant, the waves. Sorry, it's a thermal energy I'm realizing that I pick up on. Okay, all right. Yeah, so all right, I think that's it for now. Just wanted to tell y'all what's on my mind while I'm out here, and keep y'all posted. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.